Hello and welcome to the Comedy Road Show. I'm your host, Stephen Bigilen. My next guest, Paul Stoecklein, is visiting our Los Angeles studio from San Diego, California. Welcome to the show, Paul.
How are you doing, Stephen?
Fine, thanks. And I appreciate you coming all the way up from San Diego.
Well, thanks for having me.
We met at the Ventura Comedy Festival, and that was a very successful festival. We had comedians from all over the country there.
It was great. It was a lot of fun.
So tell us about yourself.
I'm I'm originally from Kansas, which I don't like that to get out too much, but yeah, I grew up there, huge Catholic family, and escaped when I was about 20. Came out here, kind of lived all over the U.S., but kind of settled here in Southern California. Married for almost 22 years now.
Where do you draw your material from?
Whatever comes to me. It's normally it's very personal. My material is, for me, that's what works. It's about my family life, marriage. I do a lot of that. I go back to my childhood and talk about growing up Catholic, because a lot of comedy comes out of misery, and there's nothing but misery out of being, when you're Catholic.
Have you talked to a priest about that? I was watching your material.
My brother's a priest.
My
little brother is a priest.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm wondering, is this guy going to hell or what?
Yeah, that's right. I gotta get out of jail free card. My brother's in it. Yeah, I know. I got a guy.
So I got a guy on the inside.
I know someone. Yeah,
he knows a guy who knows the Pope.
I'm good.
He's in good.
Yeah.
For the last 21 years or so,
yeah,
you've been married and a comic. A working comic?
Not all that time. Been married all that time, as far as I know. Been a comedian off and on since about 1998. So midway through the marriage, I said, I got to get up on stage and talk about this. I got to tell someone.
Oh yeah, definitely. The material's
it's like a 12-step program, really. That's what comedy is.
Are you on the road often?
I'm not on the road a whole lot, because I manage to perform mostly in Southern California. Sometimes when I go out on the road kind of by myself, and my wife stays at home, and I go out and do my thing and come back. But for the most part, I manage to stay pretty busy in Southern California.
Yeah, there's plenty of clubs. Can you name a good amount of the clubs that are on your...
I perform at the Ice House. I perform at Flappers Comedy Club. There's a new club in Hollywood Boulevard. It's actually upstairs of Hooters, and that's a new club. It's a lot of fun.
What's the name of the club?
It's called the Good Time Comedy Club, which that's the first time I'd ever been in a Hooters, I promise. They started a comedy club there, and so I managed to go there a lot. You need a place to work out material. And it's a lot of fun to perform there.
And of course, I met you at the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club in Ventura, overlooking the harbor.
Right, I had a great club. Had a lot of fun there.
So which comedians were you influenced by?
I grew up listening, with my brothers. My older brothers had a collection of vinyl records. This was before even cassette tapes and stuff. And I remember George Carlin. And I grew up in that big Catholic family where I just wasn't allowed anything. And I don't know if my parents even knew it had the 7 dirty words sketch. And I would play it, and I would play it real low, and I'd get my head down to the speaker, and I'd listen to it. And I was always watching for when the parents would come in, and I was highly influenced by George Carlin. Loved listening to George Carlin. And then Bill Cosby. We had several Bill Cosby albums, and so I was raised on the Noah's Ark bit, all that, and Richard Pryor. Those are the early comedians that I remember listening to.
What performers, by today's standards, are getting big laughs?
There's so many. There's so many. My favorites are, I like Brian Regan. I like anything that Brian Regan does, Eddie Izzard. There's just so many great comedians out there. There's comedians that are just so phenomenal, people haven't even heard of them. Right. So I just respect so much a comedian that really can get up there and just make the audience pee.
And one of the things I noticed about a lot of the comics that I've met, they have a lot of other projects going on in multimedia, like television shows and movies, and some are authors. Do you have any projects going on outside of the clubs?
Nope, just sitting on the couch eating Oreos, basically. No, I got a couple of things. Everybody's got something going on. And I sit on the couch and eat Oreos. But I actually have a few books that I wrote. A couple of books called You Had Me at Idiot, Volume 1 and Volume 2. There wasn't enough. There was so much. I had to do 2 volumes of that. I wrote a book years ago called Stand-Up Comedy Virgins for people who are brand new to stand-up.
What makes something funny?
I don't know. If you find out, let me know. Please. Right? I got an email address. You can send it to me. I would love to know. Because I don't have a clue. I don't know. I have my suspicions, but I think there's certain people who are just naturally funny. I don't know where it comes from. You just say it. It just comes out.
It's timing.
It's timing. There's an element of surprise. The person doesn't see it coming. There's all of that. But some people are just. I don't know. It comes from somewhere out there, and then it comes out here. And if I try to study it too much, my brain explodes.
Paul, how did you get into comedy?
I got into comedy. I still wonder how I got into it. I was living in I don't know. I was living in St. Louis at the time, and I used to do a lot more creative things back when I was in high school. And time starts catching up with you, and you start thinking, I would love to get on stage again and do some of this that I used to do. And I knew, I just followed stand-up comedy, but I was so naive. I didn't even know there was such a thing as open mic. I just did not know that. I just knew that magically these funny comedians showed up on the weekends and they were great. And I thought, well, I don't know. You have to take a class to do this. Do you go to DeVry Institute? I don't know. And so it took me a lot of nerve to actually call the club and say, oh, can I do that? And they go, yeah, there's open mic. You sign up and we come in. And of course, open mic. And so I wrote some material, showed up, and was horrible.
A lot of comedians, it didn't click right away. It took a lot of work.
Yeah, it did. I remember I wrote, I was meticulous about this. Some comedians just say whatever comes. They don't write things down. I write everything down. I rewrite it. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. This stuff is going to be great. And I went up there and I was supposed to do 5 minutes and I knew I was going over my time. And I just kept talking faster and faster and faster. And the guy's in the back running around with a flashlight because that's the sign to get off stage, a light. And he's running back and forth like a dingo back there just with a flashlight in his mouth trying to get me off stage. And I just kept talking faster and faster and faster. I remember I got one laugh. Laugh. And it felt so good when it was like, wow, they laughed at something I wrote. Although the rest of it was crap. And that was enough. And I thought, I'm gonna go back to the lab, write more and come back, and then it just, the more I got up there, the more comfortable, and I thought, oh, that's how you do it. You got to get to it faster. You got to,
How often do you come up with completely new material?
Not enough.
Really?
Yeah, no. In the beginning, I did all the time. What happens is then you get to where you have this established material, you feel comfortable doing. Confidence comes from doing things that you know works. And I get into grooves. Where I start thinking about writing a lot, and then it comes to me more. And a lot of it comes to me like when I'm exercising or taking a walk or in the shower, and an idea comes to me. The more you think about it, the more the ideas come. If I get into a zone where I'm just kind of lazy and I'm not really thinking about it, I don't write as much new material. So it kind of comes in bunches for me. It's like every few months, okay, I'll write a cluster of new material, and then I try to work that out and get it to work just right, and then I may...
When you say the new material, are you saying like completely new material, or is it new material that's built on the foundation of the old material?
That's a good question, actually. It's actually both. I like to build on the material that I already have established, because it's much easier once you've set things up, once you've explained to the audience, this is what I'm talking about, it's much easier to come up with additional punchlines and taglines, things like that. When you start out with a brand new subject, well, you got to set the whole thing up. That's the hardest part, is setting it up. So it's a little of both. I want to do brand new material, new subjects, because I get bored with the old material, but I also get excited to try new lines in the new material and watch that flop on stage.
Well, that's the art. It's like it's like a painter with a empty canvas.
Yeah.
That you're getting to start out.
Yeah, I wonder if Michelangelo, did something that somebody can go, oh, that really sucks. You bite, and then he scratched it out, and then
I'm sure there's layers on his paintings when they do those X-rays.
I hope there are. I hope he sucked occasionally. That would make me feel better.
So speaking about the Sistine Chapel there.
Okay.
What was it like growing up Catholic?
I don't know what it was like for you, but for me it was painful. It was just painful. I mean, what am I going to say? I mean, I can't. I could lie. I often do, but here I won't. It was. Did you grow up in a huge Catholic family? Mine was huge.
Yes.
Mine was. I'm the seventh out of 8, which means there were 6 people in my family who got to wear my clothes before I did, and which I mean, you know what it's like to wear somebody else's underwear. It's got their name.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. Maybe somebody else's shirt.
Yeah. Well, I just don't like wearing somebody else's, with their name on the label. When you're looking at it and it says Linda. That's just, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. And Catholic Mass is just, it's just so much fun. And they call it Mass, I think, because that's what grows on your brain when you realize how long you're going to be in there, and it's just, gosh, just in the Lent, you get to give up stuff for 40 days. How good is that?
Well, then you get all that chocolate after the 40 days.
Do you? You did?
Yeah, they didn't give you the chocolate after the 40 days?
No.
I felt bad for the kids who were allergic to chocolate.
I had a crap Easter. We got gravel.
You got gravel.
I was gypped or something.
You were telling me earlier that your brother's a priest?
Yeah.
Is this the same brother with the George Carlin albums?
No, he's the younger brother. He's the younger brother. He was the one at the end, so he was completely whipped into submission, became the priest. He's great. He's a great guy. And so one of us had to do it to, I don't know, pray for absolution for the rest of us.
Sure, yeah.
So he got stuck with it. He's a priest, sweetest guy in the world.
Who are some of the comics that you've worked with where you've done feature and headliner type of thing?
Yeah, well, I recently started doing headlining my own shows in recent years. So I actually did a television series a few years back called Bananas. It was a show that aired on cable for clean comedy. So I headlined a show there, worked on some cruise ships, done things here and there. When I first started out, and I feature for a lot of headliners too. I'm actually have a show not too far in the future featuring for Bobcat Goldthwait. Everybody knows him, and one of the early shows that I did, working for someone that I always looked up to, was Tommy Chong. Got a gig opening up for him, and that was a lot of fun.
That was cool.
Hey, that's one of the other records that I grew up listening to, is Cheech and Chong. Wow, here's the guy that I was listening to, and now I'm featuring for him.
Can you give us some advice on some of the people watching that are thinking about getting into comedy or already into comedy and they want to get better at it? What advice could you give them?
First, I would say don't do it. Just run. No. I would say the most important thing is to find your voice, which is easier said than done. But don't try to be somebody else. Everybody grows up and they admire other comedians, and you just they can definitely influence you, but you don't want to mimic them. You don't want to be them on stage. Find out what made you originally funny. When people say you're funny or you made them laugh, find out what that is. That voice inside of you, whatever it is. Are you dry and sarcastic, or are you a goofy idiot? What is it? And try to hone that and work on it. Work on it all the time. Work on it all the time, and don't get discouraged when you bomb on stage, because every comedian, I can guarantee you, from the most famous comedians to the best comedians ever, have bombed sometime. So you just have to learn from it. You learn more from the bad shows than you do from the good shows. And if you love it, keep doing it. Don't let anybody stop you. Just keep doing it.
Excellent advice. And of course, they should buy your book too.
Yeah, they should buy 4 or 5 copies of my book. If you're Catholic, 20 or 30, give them to everybody in your family.
So do you have a website or any other type of thing that people could keep track of you, where you're performing? And
Sure,
stuff
sure. My website's paulsteckline.com, and no one will ever be able to spell that. But that's the website, paulsteckline.com.
Do you have any shortcuts?
Yeah. Actually, you had me at idiot.com. If you go there,
Really?
yeah, that I think goes to my blog maybe, and then there are links to my website. So that's easier to remember. You had me at idiot.com.
And that's the name of one of your books.
That's the name of my blog and my books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that makes it easy. People will find you.
That's an easy way to go on there, and I got video clips, I got DVD, books.
Well, Paul, thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thank you,
Really
Stephen.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
And lots of luck.